be the type of person, when you think somebody a safe space and then they do some wild shit and you just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, she took it personally.
Catch you off guard.
Right. Yeah. And so I think that's where she was coming from. And I think that Unfriendly was coming from that place too, where it was like that whole situation was just a mess for them. And then it was just like, you came up here and she was like, hey, you did some harm. And you was like, I don't care. Even though you were talking about something else, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I was like, look, let's just let it go. Like, them Bama's gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna go after their money or whatever. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Because the longer we stick around, never mind. I'll talk to you about that offline, I guess.
I'm confused.
Nothing. Like, we had these conversations about issuing ultimatums to you know who. About their money and shit.
Ari said, please don't call her. I don't know if you said actually said my ninja, or if you said
I probably did. So it's impact over intent. Low key, high key, it's impact over intent. So I mean, you just gonna get you gonna get an apology from me. Like, I might have said my nigga. Cause I was in the middle of a fucking diatribe anyway, so yeah. Either way, you know, note it. It won't happen again.
Is Queen in the request?
Yeah, no, I'm not going. Sis, I'm not doing that.
If Queen's in the request, just let Queen up.
This is like, I need you to understand. Like, Queen does reactive abuse to me. Like, I'm not doing this shit. That's reactive abuse. She gonna use absolute language, solid. You always do this what you da. Any reaction, it's like it's for the spectacle. And I'm being honest.
Look. I hear what you're saying. I think that you should express how you feel to Queen and what it is that, I don't know, happens between y'all whenever y'all are talking or whatever. Like, to Queen, and be like, hey, listen, it feels like every time we talk XYZ, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And this is why I feel this way.
Which account is it?
I don't know.
Real quick, we'll get this out the way.
Is it Bart?
Swan, did you need anything? What's happening?
I don't know the history, but you just said in front of 400 people that a black woman is going to commit reactive abuse towards you after you were harmful towards her. We can't let that slide. That's not what we can't. We cannot let that slide.
It's Bart. Okay.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna let you down, Swan. Okay.
Thank you, Black Swan, for pointing that out. And I do agree. I give you the energy that you give. We've never actually had an actual conversation. And I can't believe that you would expect me to have a calm demeanor when you can't always come out swinging the way that you did in the live today. My reaction was completely valid. to how you entered the conversation. And the only person out of this situation that has had a conversation with me is Dontrell. But you know full well that he's not the only culpable person in this situation between us. You called us bloodthirsty for what?
Queen, I believe that
I know you believe it
I
because you
think
said it, but I asked why.
because every time I see you, it's a call out. It's something salacious. It's some type of gossip.
I think Solid. You should talk about your interactions with Queen
With
instead of
me,
anything else.
you've characterized what happened with Christy in such a salacious way, like such a like a gossipy. What's the word? What's the word?
I think you should just.
Have I mischaracterized the events that happened?
Yeah,
Okay. So
I would just.
when I
Queen, I would just like
say
you to play the audio.
it was your life, so you would be the one to do that. This was pre
Wawa
uh,
said she had the
Hold
audio.
on, hold on. Wawa, I was about to say that. Like Queen didn't say that. Wawa's not here. Don't hold Queen accountable for things that Wawa
and
said.
I think that we shouldn't need an audio if we're both adults and can say what happened. I think the audio comes
Okay.
into play where other people feel as though another party is lying. So, do
So
you
what
recall coming into Wawa's live and she asked you not to say COON because she regards it as a slur?
she was saying, it was anti-black
Okay,
to call people coons. I think I was
right.
talking specifically about Tyler Bluntman,
It didn't, in her eyes, it
and
didn't matter
then
because she said that
right
she
because she
regarded it as
feels
a
like it's
slur.
anti-black.
Right. And she didn't want it on her panel.
Yep.
Okay. And at the
So
time,
then
there was
I
no
kicked him and I
ability
went to my
to
own live.
correct because there was no ability at the time to just drop people. You had to block people to get them out of the box, which I blocked you because an argument ensued. Y'all were going back and forth about the use of the word. Okay. So when you went over to your live, it wasn't a problem that you hosted your own live because that's exactly what she told you to do. That if you wanted to say that word, you're welcome to have your own platform. But there was a white woman in the box that was egging you on saying, well, call them what they are. If that's what they're acting like, then that's what they should be called. We didn't come there to address you. We came there to address her, but you wouldn't allow us to.
That's not what happened. Y'all came up and talked directly to me.
She was, no, we were talking to her. You stopped the conversation and said, look, I said it. She didn't say it. And I said, I understand she didn't say the word, but she has no business telling you in so many words. She was calling us that because she was like, well, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck. She was basically telling you, you have every right to call them coons because that's what they're
I don't
acting
remember
like.
that happening
That's the
at
only
all. That
solid. That
no.
is okay.
What happened
That,
was
all
when she
right,
came
go.
up to console me.
Hold
I
on.
thought I
Real
was
quick,
still
real quick, real
talking.
quick.
But
Let her
then if I
finish.
get louder so that I could overtalk you, then you're going to say I'm hollering at you when I'm not. I'm just trying to get out what I need to say. The
Yeah.
only issue in your life was because of what Christy Lou Who was saying. And you were taking up for her. And it wasn't, and you were yelling, you were dropping and kicking. Cabria had to give her account to Wawa because she was blocked so that she could come and further address you. The hollering and screaming didn't start until two other Black men came into the panel to mediate. And that's when you had the same sort of reaction that I've witnessed here today. I can't speak for how other people feel on your reaction, but I've seen this reaction and it didn't seem genuine then. And we called it out and we said, we don't feel like it's genuine. We feel like you're full of shit. And I feel like if it wasn't for these two Black men here, you would still be hollering and screaming at us and kicking us and doing all of the extra. It wasn't until your comments did what happened here When they were like, that's not fair, Solly, you gotta let him talk. Like, that's messed up. Where's Christy? Where is Christy? That's who we wanted to talk to. But the situation went left because you were protecting her. And then you revealed to us why you were protecting her. You said she was a close friend of yours and that when you had a hard time with your mortgage, she was the main contributor to your crowd fund. And yes, I did call you a bought and paid for Negro. I sure did. I absolutely did. Because that is your only reasoning for not wanting your friend to be held accountable for egging on calling black people coons, because that is not her fucking place to tell you that, well, that's what they get. And then after the conversation was said and done, yes, you did apologize. You went to Dontrell's live the next day and said that me and Wawa strong armed you into an apology. And then you lied on me. You orchestrated a lie with Dontrell simply because you were angry, and you co-signed it and raised your hand and said, yep, I saw her too, and accused me of interrupting a black woman while she was speaking about an essay that happened to her and she was reaching out on Dontrell's panel for resources. That was not the live where I came up. I came up in the live to tell Dontrell that Trina was transphobic and problematic because they were educating a young woman on trans rights and trans people. And I did not feel like she was right for that conversation. And Dontrell has since admitted, which you were there for and heard, Dontrell admitted that he did not get rid of Trina because she was bringing in the views and that his crowdfunding and helping families was more important to him. He admitted that he knew that the people who said that they saw me do that were lying. And you heard him say it. And he's not the only person responsible. As much smoke as I have for Dontrell, at least he had a conversation with me. You never did. You not only let your homeboy take the brunt of the whole thing, you still to this day refuse to even admit that you co-signed this lie. And then when Wawa offered the recordings to show the timeline of when this actually took place, that this conversation with Dontrell did not take place during a woman speaking about her essay. You then said, oh, you're trying to demean a black man. You're going to slander a black man. You're threatening to post videos about us. And I remember that people were in the comments saying posting videos about the truth when you're not letting people speak, that's the only other option. So when Wawa said she was posting the videos, you went on this whole tirade about it being a threat towards you. Oh, she's threatening to make videos about me and demean my name and call me out. And the whole live uproared as if she was committing some type of infraction against you by saying, if you guys aren't going to let me speak and you're going to hold on to this idea that this happened, I have no choice but to post the video because this is not true and accurate. This timeline and the events did not happen. And y'all stood on that for a year. And the same thing that other people have said to you, even if you did not cause it directly, residual harm came to me because people were threatening my life because they thought that I interrupted a woman speaking about her essay. They thought that I came up on the panel to start drama in the middle of her speaking about this and reaching out for help. And that did not happen. And you knew it didn't fucking happen. And then I was pregnant and Dontrell put me up in his fucking background. And he said I had a condition. And he knew I was fucking pregnant, but then decided to use me for clicks and views any fucking way and then bait Wawa into the fucking live so that she can come and get me. And then you came up there hollering and screaming straight out the gate. Black Historian had to drop you because I told Dontrell that I was not going to have a conversation with him with you there because there was no speaking to you. And just for the record, reactive abuse is when someone finally gets mad at their own abuser and then becomes the fucking abuser. So if you're going to accuse me of doing something, please have the correct definition.
That's not true. That's not what.
No, it is true. That's not reactive is the key word. If I am yelling at you
reactive
and you have
is when
not
you poke and prod somebody to get a reaction.
That's not.
And
No,
if they react at all, you point at it as though you are being abused.
That's just strictly abuse. If a person is not doing anything to you, I did not lie at all. I did not tell one single lie.
Okay. Can I tell you my recollection?
Hold on. Because I think it's a little hot. Can we take a breath real quick?
I don't want this to get cemented in people's minds like it's the truth. It's not the truth.
I think, okay, if I understand that, but I think that it is important that we hear people. And I think that it is important that if what's something that you said was misunderstood or whatever, that it gets cleared up in the best way possible and like in the best lights possible. So like, let's not do like interrupting or whatever. Let's just like chill out for a minute and then you can say what you need to say. Queen, did you, are you, are you
That's what I don't understand because in order for Solid to say that I'm lying, then he would also have to say that Dontrell is lying because Dontrell has already admitted his part to all of this, and Dontrell has already openly on a live in his panel admitted that he knew that I did not do that. That he knew that I did not,
You didn't do what?
that I didn't commit the action of interrupting the woman who was reaching out for resources.
Okay.
He knew that was not true, and he knew that he allowed people
Where
to
is
say
this
that it
claim
was.
of someone talking about their essay coming from?
This is coming from,
No one was
okay.
talking about their essay.
Oh my
In
God.
fact, in the live, I said you didn't interrupt anybody talking about their essay.
You didn't. You said exactly what you said here today.
The live, it's on YouTube. I said, no, they didn't interrupt it. I don't remember anything about any essay. I don't think anybody was talking about any essay. I don't think they interrupted anybody's essay.
No, when they initially, you said the same thing about me then that you said about me now, that I came up for drama. Yes, you did, Queen. You always starting stuff. And I remember telling you in that live, how is alerting people that someone is transphobic when they're actively trying to educate another person drama? How is that drama? How is it ever going to be drama to say this person was just 2 weeks ago hosting a live saying that trans people were S-ing the D of massa? That will never be drama.
Again, that is not what's going on.
That's exactly what you said, bro. That's what you said. But go ahead.
Okay,
Go
can I tell my version of the story now?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I tell my recollection? Okay, we was in Wawa Junk. I was talking about Tyler Blurman and Candace Owens saying, yeah, I'm not going to stop calling them COO. I'm not going to stop calling them coons. Wawa didn't like that. So I went and started my own joint, right? I got blocked. You said you blocked me. All right, went and started my own joint. You and Wawa and King came over. And I was like, why y'all more worried about what's happening to the anti-black person instead of, right, you know what I'm saying, the anti-blackness that's happening to the anti-black person instead of the anti-blackness that the anti-black person is pushing out. We had a little talk or whatever. The only dude who came through was Keith. And by that time,
Carnay was there too in the box.
Okay. By that time, I was already crying. I had already issued an apology. And I meant that shit. Right? And I did, because I did say, because you said you came into Wawa's live and just disrupted the whole shit. Then I made a little smart remark and I said, kind of like how you did at Dan Trail's live. Right? And then we went through the same line of conversation where it was like, well, no, we were trying to get a transphobe up out of there. If it's supposed to be a safe space for trans people, then we're trying to get a transphobe up out of there.
Right here, real quick, because you just called me a liar when I said that that's exactly what you said. And my rebuttal to you is that it will never be drama to shed light on an active transphobe. So you just admitted here in 4K that you did make a sly comment towards me and called me drama.
Because I'm telling the truth, right?
Wait, hold on.
Because I think parts that were not truthful.
I think let's try and avoid, I was trying to say this earlier, let's try and avoid words like liar and lies and whatever. Maybe if the person's like
talk about the
misremembering, misspoke or whatever. But okay, so you're talking about a different part.
Yes, there
was
was no orchestration between Dantrell and I. I went to Dantrell because I felt fucked up about that live. And then I told Dantrell that I felt funny about what happened because of the language that was being used. Because Queen didn't know me very well, but was using words like always and using words like this and saying things like this is what you do or you never, right? You always do this. You never. But it's like I don't know you like that, right? So that I was talking to Dan Trell about that, feeling like something was funny, something was weird about that. Dan Trell took it upon himself to host a live. I said repeatedly in that live that I told him, do not go live, don't say nothing about it. It was just something that I wanted to get off my chest to Dan Trell. That was it. But he started that live. And then we had the talk, right? And my biggest gripe was this was supposed to be a safe space for trans people. It's perfectly valid for you to want to get a transphobe up out of there, right? But there were people there were trans and non-binary folks in the comments complaining, wanting us to move on, like wanting Dan Trell to just kick her so we could get back to what we were doing. But it dragged on for at least an hour, right?
And the reason why is because it was being framed as if I was lying. So multiple people, or as if I was not telling the truth. And
It's
multiple
about
people had to,
in that live.
yes, when I was trying to alert them that Trina was
The
just
first one with
holding,
Trina. Yeah, okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's why people were getting annoyed because the people that they trusted were saying that I wasn't telling the truth. So they thought that I was just causing havoc because I didn't like Trina. And then people were framing it as, oh, well, I'm bullying a dark skinned Black woman. I'm bullying another Black woman. And no one was taking what I was saying seriously, even though there were some people in that live that knew, and those that did speak up, they were unmodded or they were blocked from his space. So it went on as long as it did because I had to pull in other people, including the trans woman that Trina had harmed and called those names to attest to it. And then finally Trina admitted it. But then when, yes, Don Shrell did speak to you on the back end and he did choose to disclose what y'all talked about in a live. That is correct. But once he did disclose what y'all talked about in the live, that is when you got in the box and you told the story of what you told Don Shrell about how you felt about the apology. But that's when you said it wasn't the right time. We were trying to help a woman through her essay, and you came up here for drama. And that's when I said it will never be considered to be drama to alert people to a transphobe. And that was not the conversation that was happening. And that's when Wawa offered the receipts. And that's when it was said that she was threatening you, that she was threatening to expose you. And the receipts never got shown to Don Trail to corroborate the fact that I did not interrupt a story about SA. I interrupted the trans education that you guys were doing that Trina was actively participating in. She wasn't listening. She wasn't unpacking. She wasn't decolonizing herself. She was actively telling another young woman how I'm not to be a transphobe in 10 steps, pretty much. And it was performative and it was fake. And you were there in the conversation when Don Trail admitted that he knew that I was right about Trina, but he did not want to let her out of the live because she was
But
helping so much with the
I was
crowdfunding.
agreeing with you on checking Trina, right? But what I was talking about was how the folks in the comments felt like it was no longer a safe space and they wanted to get back to the safe space. Now, I'm just it was on D. D should have kicked Trina. But I was saying all of this in that live. Where does this whole expose me thing come from? I don't recall that at all. And I don't even talk like that. You're gonna
No,
expose
it
a
comes
black
from
man? That
when,
sounds like red
yes,
pill shit. Like
you did. You, because Wawa said, well, if you guys aren't going to let us talk, it was the discrepancy between what happened, when it happened. The timeline was incorrect. And I've said this multiple times that it was being framed as though I had came in during a woman reaching out for resources regarding her essay. And while I was going to post
And
the
I kept
receipts
saying that
showing,
there was nobody talking about no SA. Y'all didn't interrupt nobody about
no, you,
SA.
now I have to say names because it's,
I
no,
kept
you,
saying no.
Des, and Dontrell attested to the fact that it happened. Y'all were adamant
I
about the fact
kept
that that is
no.
when it
That is
happened.
not true.
Solid, please.
True, bro.
That's what the
I kept
reason I don't
saying
have.
there was nobody talking about SA.
Mm-mm. All right. Okay. Well, I don't need you to validate what I know absolutely happened because, like I said, Dontrell already admitted to it. And the only reason why you were not a part of the conversation when Dontrell admitted to it was because I asked Black Historian to drop you because you came up hollering and screaming during that time. And we did it.
What?
You did it. Then the reason, the problem that I have with this whole thing is not the fact that you are misremembering or that you don't believe that these events took place. It's the fact that I know you heard your friend say these things. You heard him corroborate my side of the story. He agreed. And I asked him, where is Des and where is Solid? Because you are not the only person responsible, Dontrell, because these two other people swore up and down
Which live
that
are we talking about? Is this the one the year after, or is this the one
yes, this is the year.
before?
Yes, correct. This is
Okay,
the year
okay,
after
okay,
when
okay.
me and Dontrell finally got a
Well, I
chance
don't
to
think I was
talk.
there. Was I there?
Yes, yes, because Black Historian had to drop you because you came up hollering and screaming. What am I speaking fucking French?
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
Real quick, can you change the background to something blank? And also, like what we talked about earlier, like if you don't remember something, really ain't no issue in just being like, you know what, I ain't even mean to do that shit. I don't remember doing it, but if I did it, like obviously you're saying I did it, so I did it, so I I'm sorry.
You know what? I hear you,
Pause,
sis,
and
but
I'm not.
I feel like if it don't come organically,
And I agree with that. I
yeah,
don't
you know what
want
I'm
you to
saying?
take
Yeah, yeah.
accountability for something you don't
Because I
remember, and
would
I
love
don't want you.
to
But
listen.
I want
I would
to.
love to do this whole thing, and if it comes organically and it's enough, and it could did this whole thing, because low key, I've had this vision, like this idea of you in my mind. You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course,
You know what I'm
of
saying?
course. That you I feel okay, and maybe you were not there the whole time, but I was under the impression that you were there and you heard me and Dontrell come to a conclusion. You heard him admit to what he did, and for him to admit, that means that everybody else who said that they saw me do it was either lying or misrepresenting the situation and not allowing me at the time that it happened to prove when I came into the live and to prove what the context of the conversation was causing lateral harm to me because there were people who wasn't fucking with me, people who was DMing me, wishing me unaliving, and then when they found out I was pregnant, you can only imagine the shit they was fucking saying about about my fetus behind the fact that they still believed that I came up there to go back and forth with Trina during a time that people were offering a woman resources for her essay. And I had the proof and the receipt still to this day to show that when I came into the box, it was a trans conversation happening, and the woman reaching out for resources happened in a totally different live on a different day, but y'all swore that I did it, and you did what you did to me today. All you do is argue. All you do is want to do drama. Every time I see you, you got something going on. And you said the word salacious because I remember saying, do you even know what the fuck that means? Yeah, absolutely. I have not been a great person towards you. Yep, I've called you all kind of fucking names. But how do you expect me to react when it's me that's being threatened with unaliving because these fucking people think that I done did something to a black woman who was reaching out for resources for her essay when all I was trying to do was alert people. And not only alert people, I still had the receipt showing the background of Trina's lives. If you are a T Annie, then you are S'ing the D of
Hey,
Massa. I had it.
uh,
Y'all didn't want to see it.
I'm
real,
confused why we
I
not
think
clocking the fact that I'm like, yeah, yeah, get rid of that. Like, go get rid of Trina for doing that. Like, I'm that there's that. That also, I don't understand why we not clocking that. I was saying there was nobody talking about their. You did not interrupt nobody talking about their essay. Like I don't know why we keep going
Why is
back
because
there.
even if you said it that day,
I keep saying it
even if you said it that day, your tune changed on the day that I finally got to speak with Dontrell the year after, which was last year. If you agreed with me that Trina was in the wrong and shouldn't have been up there, and you agreed that that was not during a conversation about SA, then what would be the reason why you would get into the box when me and Dontrell are having a conversation to be able to dead the issue, hollering and screaming at me if
because
you knew that I didn't do anything wrong?
because
You switched up.
I was trying to keep us off of drama talk.
But Dontrell asked for me. He had me in the background. I was summoned to his live. You saw my picture in his background. How can I be doing drama with somebody who summoned me?
What I'm saying, that's exactly. If he summon you, he putting himself on drama talk. I'm trying to get that nigga the fuck
Well, why
on
would
drama
you
talk.
try to interrupt a conversation that me and Dontrell were having to dead the
So that,
issue if you
so
knew
that
that I was right and
Dontrell
Dontrell
could
was in the
stay
wrong?
off of drama talk.
But
Like
how is it drama? That's what I'm saying. And you keep saying that. How is it
because
drama when two people are trying to come to the same page? How is it drama
because
when Dontrell is
the records of this are on Chef Drama Llama's page. Craziness of TikTok, Red Cat.
I don't care about the people who go around and record lives because at the end of the day, we all know we up here in public and people are going to record us. That does not answer my question. If you knew that I was in the right and you knew that Dontrell and I had not had this conversation and he still to that day believed that I did that, why didn't you let the conversation happen and why did you come up in the box to address me if it was Dontrell who you were trying to keep out of the drama? You were hollering at me. I asked Black Historian to
Okay,
drop
this is
you.
one of the ones where we do that. I if I said that, then I'm sorry. Like if I went off, then I'm sorry. Now there is a video of me doing the saying I don't care for y'all voices. I want y'all to not. I don't want us to speak about each other no more. I want us to go in separate directions. Right.
Correct. And I told you that it's not talking shit when I'm telling people what happened. It will never be talking shit when I tell people that I have got unaliving threats and Dontrell put me up in his fucking background knowing that I was pregnant for the reason to start drama with me. It will never be
That's not.
talking shit when I tell the truth. And I said that to you in that live, did I not?
Wait, when did he put? What year? I'm trying to figure out which one this was. Was this the day after one or the year after one?
The year after one was when he put me in the background.
Why the fuck did he? Okay, all right.
You were there. You came up in the box hollering and
I
screaming. I
don't think
asked
he hit
Black
the nigga
Historian
no
to drop
more
you.
for obvious reasons. So I don't have no problem saying like, look, any party that I was to that, I apologize for that.
Yeah, you came up hollering and screaming because you had a previous grievance against me because of the way that I talk. But here's the difference, though. We get in these lives all the time and we talk about tone policing and everything else, and you were coming at me as if I didn't have a reason to be upset. And you already admitted that you already had a preconceived notion of me. Then what was the reason for you hollering and screaming if you knew that I was in the right and Dontrell needed to be held accountable for the fact that he was still actively lying on me and saying that I interrupted a woman in her essay? If you knew that that wasn't true, why would you interfere with me addressing him on the fact that it wasn't true?
You're saying when you implicate me, you say a lot of things that are not true.
You just established that I was telling the truth. When you told your version of the story, it was bar for bar with the same
You
thing I
tell
said.
grains of truth, but then there are some details that you switch around that make it a different story than it actually is.
You said the same story that I told. A white woman was co-signing the word. You did not hold her accountable. You said she was your friend and that she helped you crowdfund for your mortgage. What part of that is untrue?
He came
The,
up to console me when I was doing all
Fair.
that.
He barely
I came
talked
up.
about.
Yes, I confronted you
She
about
didn't,
allowing her to co-sign. Yes,
do
I did.
all of
Hold on, real
that.
quick. Hold on, real quick. Because Queen, I will say that it's not. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's not exactly bar for bar, because there were small differences. But it's solid. You didn't talk about the white woman. You only talked about Keith. So what happened with the white woman?
She didn't get held accountable. She left alive and she came back
Christy Lou who
a
came
few
up
weeks
to
before I had the
console me.
conversation with Dontrell.
Niggas had attacked her.
Hold up, please, because I don't want us to do the over talking shit. We really trying to get this, we're trying to get this to an understanding. Queen, you know,
Christy
we
Lou Who acknowledged the conversation a year after, which was last year, a few weeks before I had the conversation with Dontrell. She acknowledged her part in it. She acknowledged some things that she was going through that caused her to not be present for her to be held accountable. And she also acknowledged what you said. And she said that it also made her feel uncomfortable because she felt like it made her look as though she was using her money against you and weaponizing you with it.
Who
And
that?
she didn't want anybody to think that
Wait,
she
hold on.
was, yes.
because I want to hear, because I heard what you said. I did. I really did about the about her cosigning the word and all that. I do want to hear. I do want to hear Solid's recollection of it, because he's saying that that's not. He's saying I
Before
believe he thinks you're misremembering it.
before the live or whatever, and this is where I think we're getting lost at. Before Wawa's live and then me holding another live, right? There was a joint where it was the same night I had Jamal up, Jamal for Jesus and all kind of shit. Christy came up and started crying, and niggas was going in. They was like, shut up, white woman, fucking white woman tears. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know who was who. It was people that had followed Christy over there and was going in. I had scolded the audience and said, hey, like, what's going on? Like this lady crying, shit like that, right? Is it possible that that live made it into the live that we talking about where after Wawa's live?
No, but I will tell you that in Wawa's live, Christy Lou Who was in the panel. She was a regular on Wawa's panel. She shared servers with us in Discord. Wawa was hosting a space about her nephew being unalived, and she was hosting a space about the injustices of the justice system and the police system. And Christy Lou Who said, "This is depressing. Can we talk about something else?" And we told her that that was inappropriate. And she did it again. And she said, "Oh, can we do something fun? This is so depressing." So you absolutely right. We ate her up and told her, like, of course you get to talk about something else. Of course you get to say that this is, oh my
What
God,
live
this is
is
so
it?
depressing. This is so depressing. So you're absolutely right. For her to say that in Wawa's panel and then go to your panel a few moments later and say that we deserve to be called COONs, yes, it was residual,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
we came
I
up
was
to address
not.
her. As I said in the beginning of this conversation, we came up to address her. You stood in the gap for her and caught a stray on her behalf. And when you were asked, why are you not allowing her to be addressed, that is when you told us because she was a close friend to you and she helped you in your time of need. Did that not happen?
No. That's not how I rock. That's just not there. There's got to be some sort of misinterpretation there.
All right, look. Why
I
don't you
think I
tell?
think that
Why don't you tell your
I'll tell
recollection?
you what, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's say that it happened exactly that way. Right?
Hmm.
Let's say that it happened exactly that way. That was 4 years ago. I'm so much more radicalized. I that and the reason why the what you're describing
It
to me
was 2 years ago.
sounds so absurd. It's got to be longer than that because I was still working in Springfield and I was still smoking cigarettes.
We'll go with the difference. It was 3 years ago. That doesn't
All
really
right,
work.
Okay.
we'll go with 3 years because I understand how absurd that would be, right? To say, nah, it's okay for her to even insinuate that y'all are coons
Hold on. Look. Hold up.
because she
Hold up. Hold
sent
up.
me
Because
some music.
I don't think hypotheticals will help this situation. I think what you should do is recount your knowledge of the events, and then
But I know
try and bridge the gap from like the misunderstanding.
came up after the fact when I was weeping.
Just tell the story of the live.
Uh,
Don't start in the middle. Just
Start the
tell the story of
live,
the live how you remember it.
then Wawa come up. Queen came up first, then Wawa come up. We have the talk. We talking about the coonery. King is there too, where we talk about the coonery. I say, no, we're going to da da da. And then I'm saying, listen, y'all kick me, just leave me kicked. Like, we don't have to keep talking about it. Queen say, well, it's not that. It's not a big deal. It's just that you came up and you disrupted that live. I made a smart remark and say, kind of like how you disrupted Dan Trail's jump. Then they pressed me a little bit about it for a little bit because I didn't, it was at that moment I knew I fucked up, right? So we ended up having this whole talk about what it means for, like, to get a transphobe up out of a place that's supposed to be a safe space for, yada yada. I was doing this apologizing. I kept saying, like, y'all, this ain't what I came to the app for. I came to help, and I didn't mean to cause no harm. I'm feeling all, yada yada. Keith Knock come up. I don't remember what Max said. I don't remember.
He didn't say much. He was just there mediating, kind of like what Sean is doing, just keeping people talking one at a time.
Right. So Max, so Keith is there. Keith is showing support, but I'm like, by that time it's already, you know what I'm saying? It's already low key squashed. That's when Christy come up, and Christy's like doing like this consoling thing, and then I'm noticing, like, I don't remember if it was hella comments saying like, this is black folk business, get the fuck up out of here, da 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 da. Then that's when I go, well, hold on, y'all. She's just trying to console me. She sees me crying. She's a good friend of mine. I had to do some mutual aid. She was one of the biggest contributors to the mutual aid. That's all. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, fuck it, Solid. If you want to call them coons, then call them, right? Like, that wasn't it. And then I go, well, you paid my mortgage, white lady. You know what I'm saying? That's not what happened. It was.
That's literally what you just said. You literally just said
No, I'm saying
that when your comments were asking, why is she here?
to console
That you
me.
did make the comment that she was a big contributor to your mortgage.
Right.
But
So
the
was
comments that she
Don
made,
Trill.
okay, but you named her specifically because of what she was doing.
So
But the
all I'm
comments
saying
that
is
she made is the reason we come into the live. She makes the comments before we come into the live. We come to your live because we hear Christy. And I already admitted that yes, it was residual from Wawa's live because she was disparaging the topic by saying that it was too much, it's too depressing. Can we talk about something else? So for a white woman to try to interrupt and disrupt Wawa's live by saying that it's too uncomfortable for her, and then go into a black man's live and say, well, I mean, if that's how they were acting, I mean, you're allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to use that word. So if you think that that's what they are, that's what they are.
Christy,
She admitted it. She apologized to me. She knows that she said it.
okay, all right. I would not let no shit like that. That's it.
You
You
did, and that's the reason why we're here today, because you did. But let's move past
know
this
what?
because clearly it
Wait.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You already said that you can't give an organic apology, and that's not what I'm here for. But today in the live, when you called us bloodthirsty,
Yeah.
drama, Jerry Springer, and then you continue to say disgusting comments like name three of the victims. And even though multiple people, me, Peach, and Mimi, all told you that that was inappropriate to continue to say,
Incorrect.
because you were weaponizing what happened to these people as a way to try to say that what we were doing wasn't genuine. When the people who were actively harmed were in the box, they were telling their stories, and we were just there as mods and contributing to the conversation as necessary.
Why?
So when the people who were actively harmed are telling you that they're cool where they are, why did you continue to try to sway them into thinking that they were not safe in that space?
So you're saying that Peach told you that they felt safe in that space?
Peach was in the box and they were actively speaking, and I've had multiple lives with Peach over the last few weeks.
Why?
because Peach wanted to speak to Phoenix, and the first conversation was because Peach and Phoenix finally got a chance to speak. The second time I had a live with Peach was when Peach was live on their own page and allowed me to come up and speak. And then, from my recollection, today was the third live that I have personally shared a box with Peach on their own accord. They came up into that box, I think, originally to speak to Black Historian, I believe.
Um,
But what is the reason why you're asking?
because I'm standing on business. Like, if you are saying that y'all don't be doing drama talk, that's about somebody's recording this right
I
now.
don't. I don't think
Okay. I'm missing the
Hold
point,
on,
I
hold on.
guess.
All right, I just
because
don't think
I don't
this
think
is safe.
there's two things. There's two things that I think I should actually interfere for. Um, this goes to everybody. I don't think we should talk about somebody else and whether or not they felt safe because we don't know.
Well, I
And
talked
I
to
think a
I
lot of
talked
the
to somebody
times,
else and they
I,
said
I
they didn't feel safe.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm not saying it to you in particular. I'm just saying that if we're going to talk about whether or not something was a safe space, we know
Okay,
that.
I'll reframe my statement. You're
Well, it's
right.
not.
I cannot speak to somebody's feelings or state of mind, but what I can speak to is that everyone is an adult, and I guess I will reframe my question. Why were you trying to sway people into not speaking in that live because of your preconceived notion of who you think I am?
Wait. You said that I was trying to protect Jones.
No, not what I said at all.
I was sitting there
No,
listening to what you said. You said I'm going to protect Jones by telling
I
him to
said
leave the live.
nope. What
Hold
I
on,
said,
because
I made a
someone.
statement and the host said your name. What I said was, where are the men who had so much smoke for Jones? And why do I keep seeing women and female presenting people in these lives consoling and protecting each other? The host said your name and said, well, Solid got into the box in the beginning of Jones's live and told him to delete the app. And I said, was that it? When they and the host said yes, that was it. And I said, why didn't he come back? Why didn't he say nothing? And then when you came in the box, you did not say I was in the request. He wouldn't let me up. You came up there immediately screaming, "Don't trust Wawa and Queen. All they do is Jerry Springer. All they do is drama. I wouldn't trust nothing they said." And we went through the whole thing of what we went to today of why we don't fool with each other and what I think about you and the ways that you performed on this app and the harm that you have caused to people. And you did not say until the end of the conversation before the host dropped you that you were waiting in Jones's box and he would not let you up. And then I asked from the comments, if you had an opportunity to speak to him and you got in that live, why was your first instinct to tell him to delete the app? You had an opportunity, space and opportunity, first person in the box to hold him accountable. That's my opinion. Even if he would have dropped you, you didn't say any of the things that I heard you say in these lives when you're hosting by yourself, when you were calling him to the forefront and telling him, if I ever catch you on this fucking app, it's me and you, nigga. It's me and you, nigga. And then when you had an opportunity for it to be you and him, nigga, you didn't say a fucking word.
Well,
I didn't say a word.
and hold on, Solid.
That was my opinion.
Okay.
Queen, he wasn't. He's not talking about on the app when he says if I ever catch you.
Okay, that was my
No,
opinion, as I stated again, but my opinion still does
no, I
not
know, I
warrant
know.
the
I'm just.
response that Solid gave when he got into that box. So my
No, I hear
opinion
you.
of what, okay, okay,
I'm just telling you what he
This is
meant
what I
by
didn't
that.
want
He's
to do.
trying.
this
It's like
mediation
you
shit is
coming
starting to
through
get
us.
old.
Well, this is
I'm
what I'm
trying to
saying.
bridge the
This is what I'm
gap. That's
saying.
all I'm
Look,
saying.
But every time you try to bridge
we
the gap, you
gave shit.
interrupt me, and it's starting to feel as though you think that I'm getting turned up or you trying to coddle him
No, I don't
from
think you.
my opinion. And I really don't feel like I should have to continue to say it's my opinion because we're not in a fucking court. But I think that we all know that it was an opinion. And regardless of my opinion of you, My whole reason for being here is why did you get up into that box immediately hollering and screaming, but then refuse to have a conversation with me? What you said about me before I even came up, you acting like I'm the fucking problem when we have established here that every single encounter that I have had with you, you was the one hollering and screaming, and I'm reacting to you hollering and screaming, and you even admitted that you already had a preconceived notion about me. And you have literally allowed that preconceived notion to frame the way that we have had conversations with each other. We've never been able to have a conversation like we're having today because you are yelling. And then when I start getting turned up, people want to say I'm doing too much.
I don't think
I'm
you're
not.
doing too much. I
I'm
didn't
not
mean
good
to
at tone policing.
continuously.
And anybody
Thank
tone
you,
policing,
Sean. I appreciate that.
anybody tone policing, you need to cut that shit out. What I am saying though,
Release me when you call me a reactive abuser. Fuck is you talking about?
well, if you doing the shit, why I can't call it?
Hold on. That's not a healthy response right now.
Okay, all right. Listen, our
And
interactions.
attacked Christy Lou Who. The term attacked was used, and I would like
Oh,
to
Jesus.
nobody attacked
Yeah,
no
okay,
white woman
all right. Let's
co-signing the
redact
use
that.
of
Let's
the word
redact that.
coon.
Let's take attack out of
Hold,
there.
hold,
I'm willing to make that concession. That's too easy. That's too easy. They was on her head top though. So
Just like with the Trina
real quick.
and I
situation, you
didn't know. I didn't
refuse.
even know the context of why y'all was on her
Hold
head
on,
top.
because
And that
I think what's getting lost is Queen asked you a question,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you should address that question.
What's the question again, Queen? My bad.
the question that I had was when you came into the live, even if you heard yourself being talked about, why in the comments, why were you trying to, I don't know, persuade or I don't know what else to call it, to persuade the people that were up there to take your opinion of us into consideration. And the reason why I ask that is because I'm allowed to tell what I'm telling, but I have not once gone on a campaign to try to tell people not to believe you, not to tell people that you're performative or to tell people that you cause harm. But I can tell my story as it comes up or parallel off of another story that somebody has when it comes to the misogyny and the misogynoir that happens in these large creative spaces. So you said, and I quote, Peach, you falling for this shit? Because Peach clocked you and said, Solid, I've been trying to get in touch with you. I've been trying to talk to you, Solid. I actually agree.
They
Where
was
were
at me.
you?
They was at me.
Wait, real
They
quick.
did that too.
I do want to say to you, Queen, I get everything you're saying, but I do think it's fair to say he didn't yell when he came up. He did say he don't trust you and he don't trust Wawa, but he didn't yell. He wasn't yelling and screaming. But I do everything else that you're saying. I do understand what you're saying.
Okay. Well, we know the difference between genuineness and a performative. So when you come up there, you're getting ready to tune up to say some fucked up shit. So forgive me if I was already in a defensive stance because you did not come up there to be genuine. You came up there with the intention to turn up. You didn't come up there to have a conversation or to ask me why I felt the way that I felt. You did not
Yeah, I
come
want
up
you to
there to
be.
say, you came up there to try to make it seem like I didn't have no right to say what I said by saying name three of the victims. I don't have to, and just like Mimi said, I don't have to know any of those people. But
That's
what I do know,
that's observant started yelling and that, hold
you're
up.
coming up into a panel full of women and femme presenting people, and as the only black man on
And I'm
that
gonna tell you
panel,
why.
he did exactly what he should have done.
Because I don't feel like the survivors were safe in that space.
As as
Wait,
one, and
hold
as
on.
one, and as one, I was just fine. The question wasn't asked. It wasn't asked if I felt okay. So listen, I asked you a question when you started to say, in order to be combative to observant, you asked him to name three victims. That is utterly disgusting. What I told you was, no. What
What
I
I was
told
doing
you,
was demonstrating that niggas are
what you
centering
were doing
themselves
was
Let me
around
me
some
using
shit
the
that
hold
they
up,
not
hold
even
up, hold up.
talking.
Let me finish.
What you were doing was using the victims to be combative to him. Literally. No, yes, because what you did was you repeatedly asked him to name 3 victims when 3 victims were actually on the fucking panel. But that's beside the point. That's beside the point. You don't get to use the victims for your fight. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. It's not fair. And like I said on that panel, you have no clue what we were doing in that live. We were on there for hours. You have no clue who any of those people, if any of those people have actually been assaulted in any way, shape, or form. So to say something like that is disgusting. If you supposed to be a stand-up motherfucker trying to make sure you holding people accountable, how do you come up there and say something like that? It was wrong, Solid. Then you said that they weren't a part of the movement. How the hell are you talking to black people about not being a part of a movement when the fact is we were having a conversation about the man that did everyone harm? What are you talking about? It is necessary to have these conversations. Were we supposed to be quiet after the live? Were we not supposed to express ourselves? And from what I'm being told after all of this fucking time, because y'all know, I don't know shit about what happened back in 2020, 2021. These motherfuckers, Kween, Wawa, Observer, all the, been clocked this motherfucker. Been stopped fucking with him. The hell if I didn't know.
Then clock the fact that y'all didn't listen to us because you've already considered me to be somebody who's in drama because you don't like the way that I talk.
You talking about tough?
And then you said that
anything that has been said was dismissed because that was the response. Oh, they just do drama. Don't listen to them. The same response that you gave to the people in the live today is the same response that you have followed up with previously in other spaces. And sorry to cut you off, Mimi, but today I felt like what Mimi said, that's what you were trying to do. And I don't feel as though you came up into that live to protect your friends or mutuals. I feel like you came up to that live to campaign against me and Wawa because you didn't know the full context of the live and you didn't take into consideration that these are adults that know full well that they're in a panel with people that they probably haven't really met before, but they chose to come up there because the host was recapping Jones's live and talking about his behavior and how he did not take accountability in how he behaved. And they chose to come up and speak on their feelings on that live as well. And then another situation happened that needed to be hashed out. People had conversations that they were trying to get to. And not only did you come up and interrupt, but you came up and interrupted a conversation that was supposed to take place between Mimi and Coco.
So what I want to know is, do you understand what I'm even saying to you? Why it made me very upset that you did that.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that I was using the victims and their trauma to prove a point.
Not to prove a point, just to fight, because I don't know what your point is.
I was proving, okay.
Well, you're telling me that you're proving a point. I'm saying you up there because Observant said, shut the fuck up or whatever the fuck he said. You now name 3 victims. Why is that necessary? Why?
Maybe you don't see why centering the survivors is important?
I understand why centering myself is important. I can appreciate that question. It's weird. It's weird. Are you under the impression that none of the people that were in that panel have actually made their business to visit those other survivors, go into their lives, tap the screen, share the live, gift the host, and make sure they're heard? Is that what you're saying?
No,
because I know for a fact it's happening. I see them in the comments.
Where there's drama talk, it's not say that that's not going to center.
Why do you keep calling it that when we have already established that but who are you to try to decide
Mimi,
that it is drama? What are you referring to?
Mimi, have you ever been on Messy Talk, Mimi?
Yes.
But Messy Talk, when we're saying Messy Talk, we're talking about.
Hey, hold on. Let him ask me this question.
Wait.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean, baby. Go ahead.
There was a lot that was happening. I don't think some things that were were asked were answered,
Okay.
and there was just extra, like more other dialogue. And I
Okay.
do want to make sure everyone feels heard. I'm sorry for interrupting you again, Queen. I really am. I just want to make sure your question gets answered because it wasn't answered. Solid. Why did you feel the need to go up on the live? This is what Queen was asking you. Why did you feel the need to go up on the live? And I have other questions for you. And say that what you said, that you don't trust Queen and all of that, instead of if you wanted to center the survivors, essentially, why didn't you just do that instead of say something about Queen?
It was an indirect communication with Peach.
Okay. Can you say what the indirect communication was? Communication was.
They should have been in that live. You still have not illustrated to me what drama are you referring to that made you feel as though that wasn't a safe space for your mutuals,
Say it again.
or an adequate space
I
for them
should have
to.
just listen. I heard my
I
name.
think.
I joined. I should have just texted Peach and got
I'm
him.
not really concerned about what you could have done because that's not really my business, but I'm asking directly what drama made you feel as though that was not an adequate space?
The potential for drama, the potential for mess, the fact that I go on YouTube, I can go on YouTube at work and watch a recap of all kind of misinformation about everything that's happened. Some of the stuff is just like literally made up about you know what I'm saying, like about the situation, about the survivors. It's like,
Can I have
and
some
then
examples, please? Because I don't feel as though myself or anybody that was on that panel has done that.
all right, give me a hot second. Let me go to YouTube.
Sean,
What's up?
I'm sorry. I'm not. This is not all right. To keep calling what happened in that live today drama
I
is
did.
extremely. To say that the people on the live or they do drama or that it'll be on YouTube, that was already addressed. Queen already said motherfuckers be recording. It is what it is. It's extremely dismissive, catty, and wildly disrespectful to the people that were having a conversation on that live about what they went through. Why is it that when black women and black femme people were on that live actually having the conversations that our black asses should have had a year ago, why is that now drama? Why is it that we
You Mimi, because that's what I'm trying to figure out, Mimi, because at the
should
end of
we
the day,
have wait, are you saying that we should have done that in the back end? Right?
So you wait, hold on. So here's the scenario. Peach is up there. Peach is friends with Banana. I am friends with Banana and Peach.
mm-hmm.
The Peach cares about Banana. Peach cares about me. You all, Banana is hurt directly by you, Queen.
Okay, and how?
All right. I. It's
I,
not.
It is your place to say
It's up
because
for.
you
It's
accuse
still
me of
right, but
hurting you. No,
they
because you
cite
accuse
to
me of
me.
hurting them. But
They
hold
cite to
on.
me.
And if and hold on though, if you are going to bring a conversation that you had with someone to the forefront as an accusation, it's only fair that you tell me what the accusation is. How did I personally hurt Banana?
You would have to ask Banana.
You,
Banana
I'm asking you
wanted to.
because you said it multiple times
Banana
in the
wanted
comments
to.
in capital letters.
Okay. Can I ask you if you have any issue with Banana?
Absolutely, I do. Let me go ahead and start from the top.
You
I have
know,
an issue with the fact that Banana has inserted themselves in multiple Black spaces. I have an issue that Banana has engaged in anti-Blackness and sent Black people to fight their battles. I have an issue with the fact that Athena was in Bratz's lives having to answer for Banana's calling a Black woman a gremlin. I have a problem with Queen B having to answer for Banana calling a Black woman a gremlin. I have a problem with the fact that Peach says that they had no idea that Banana was starting this campaign against Phoenix without Peach's knowledge. I have a problem with the fact that I had a conversation with Mimi, who was right here in the box, about Banana's anti-Blackness, and we were not unable to come to an agreement, but we are able to come to an agreement today. We had so many issues. I have an issue with the fact that Banana got up in a live and showed personal messages between her and Liv after just holding Liv accountable for not speaking up for anti-indigeneity. But when it comes to anti-Blackness, Banana doesn't want to say anything about that. I have a problem with the fact that Banana had no fucking business dragging Liv, no matter what the fuck he did, and they had no business showing no personal text messages to engage in that fucking dragging. They had absolutely no business in blocking Black women out of Liv's space, calling them dangerous and harmful. Because when a Black conversation is happening, non-Black mods do not have no fucking authority to kick Black people out of a conversation about them. So explain to me, where did I hurt Banana? By calling them anti-Black or what?
I asked a question about the victims, and the answer was banana. I'm trying to get a better understanding.
Because that
I
was
will
all it
answer.
was.
I will. No, he's trying to demonstrate what it was that was the harm. He's trying to answer both questions at the same time.
And
But
I wish that the question would be answered directly because you brought this to the forefront. So if you're trying to protect Banana from the conversation that you guys have had in private, then that ship has sailed because you made an accusation on the fact that Banana was harmed, and part of the reason why you felt as though that space was not adequate for your mutuals is because of your other friend. So you are going to need to tell me specifically because you named things are hurt.
Sure.
No, not sure. I'm asking directly. What
I
other
mean,
harm?
yeah, their feelings absolutely have been hurt.
Is that the
They
harm
they
though?
they were dealing with SI.
I'm
They
sorry, I don't know what that is.
That is.
Um,
they felt like the app was not safe for them to walk around for several reasons, not just you. But the fact of the matter is that is how Banana feels. Peach does care about Banana. It puts Peach in a precarious situation to be on the panel with someone that Banana has
so you okay, so
a
you
very
think
severe
so
problem.
let me ask you this direct question. Were you when you saw that live, were you under the impression that Peach did not know that there were people up there who had an issue with Banana?
Say it again.
When you saw Peach in our live today, were you under the impression that Peach is unaware that there were people up there that have an issue with bananas?
No, because Peach was aware.
Okay. So why would you make the statement just now that Peach cares about banana and Peach is consorting with people who don't like banana? Because Peach is very aware of all of the reasons why I do not like banana and all of the
They were
anti-blackness that
actually on their way out of the live.
I think
okay.
he's. I
We're not being clear at this point. And because if I come into a live and I say, you hurt Mimi, but then I don't want to tell you why. This is the basis of your argument. So if you're saying that you came in hot based off of something that happened to Banana, I asked you several direct questions, and I don't know how else to ask it to try to have some respect for the fact that it seems as though you don't want to talk about it. So the
I
direct
mean, it's
question
super
is,
easy.
what is Banana hurt
It's
by? Their
super easy. I
feelings?
don't think you are safe for my friends. Like it's that easy. It's that
But you
simple.
haven't explained what drama you and me and Mimi both
Our
have asked you that
stuff,
same
you and
question.
Banana stuff.
Our stuff was never drama. It will never be drama for people orchestrating a lie against me. It will never be drama for you saying that it was drama for me to call
You
out a
just
transphobe. It
classified
will
it as
never. It,
orchestrating a lie again.
okay,
I wasn't involved
when
in
people say that
orchestrating
they saw
any
you do
lie
something that you
against
did
you.
not do,
I wasn't
it,
involved in orchestrating any lie against you.
okay, that's what you say. But I'm still saying the fact that you did, and it doesn't matter if we
I
agree or
did
not.
not.
But there's still
I
no
did
drama
not.
there. Where is there drama when people have a direct
I
issue?
did not. orchestrate
Okay.
any lie
Okay. And
against
that, okay. But
you.
okay.
I didn't do that.
How is it drama
I confided in
for,
my homeboy. My homeboy took it upon himself to do some shit. You know what I'm saying?
and that's already been said, but you haven't
And
answered the question
even in
directly.
that situation, I spoke on what I knew to be true. And if the claim against you was that you interrupted somebody talking about the essay, and I'm saying that you did not, then I am helping you in your truth.
Okay. So
That means I am
how
being
would
as
I, but what
honest as
other
I can
drama?
in this situation.
Okay. So you named our situation.
I
That's
have
not drama. It
very
was an
bad
issue.
experiences with it, especially when it comes to language like that, where it's like orchestrating a lie. These very
Oh
condemning,
God.
these very like absolute condemning
You know that
types of
just because a
phrases, right?
person doesn't agree with what they did to you doesn't mean that I'm actively harming you by telling my truth about what happened. You say that it did not happen, but just because you disagree with it happening doesn't mean that I am purposefully
Right.
using language that is going to disparage you. I am literally
Well, see,
telling
but I don't
how it
believe that.
happened for me. You don't have to believe it. And as someone who talks about victims and as someone who holds space for
Right.
people, you are literally doing
Right. So
what a person would
if I'm
normally
saying
do.
that you've caused harm to me and we believe victims, then what are we doing?
Caused harm to you? How though? You haven't illustrated me causing harm to you other than the fact.
By not
so
telling the actual,
you think
by
that
selling what
somebody who
happened
does
in a
something to somebody is
salacious
going to admit
way,
that they
by
did it?
vilifying me, by not being
I think
truthful
that
in your
hold,
representation about me.
You
Period.
know
Like
what?
I think because I want to answer Mimi's question as well, but because it was asked to me, but I think what a lot of what's happening right now is that like harm, like when people are using harm, the word harm, like, oh, you harmed me, or you harmed this person, or whatever else, this did harm to me, whatever. I think that it's being looked at in this moment as an indictment. And I honestly do think that both y'all are doing it. And I don't want y'all to do that because I don't think that that's what either one of y'all mean. I don't think, Queen, you mean, oh, Solid, you're a terrible person because you did harm to me by being around these people who said these things about me. And Solid, I don't think that you mean that Queen is a terrible person and a absolutely horrible human being because the people who and this goes a part of my answer, and I'll clarify it in a second. The people who like record these lives that people be in, or the people who even host these lives sometimes that like some people be in, just call it drama or messy or tea or whatever else it may be. I don't think it's like I don't think it's meant to be like malicious. I just think it's like, hey, I'm trying, like, this is what you said, this is what happened, this is what I remember, etc., etc., and it's not an indictment.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't think so, Sean, because that has been said, and our
What
questions have not been answered.
you what
When you are telling someone, I don't think you should be in this live because these people are all about drama. That still has not been answered. So the one part of the conversation has been answered when
okay.
it said, okay, you actively harmed my friend, Banana. And I'm still waiting on how did I create an issue for Banana? Because calling
I
out someone for being anti-Black and them getting their feelings hurt about it is not harm. So if there's nothing else other than
calling them a
that,
white woman, things like that. Like, I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing?
okay, so I can address that because when I first met Banana on this app, that's exactly how they identified. I said that Banana was not Black because they are not, and they don't have no business dragging Black people, regardless of if those Black people committed anti-indigeneity, because there is a way to approach Black people for things that they do outside of the community without disparaging them as Black people. So when you're calling out a Black woman, maybe we should refrain from calling them gremlins. Maybe we should refrain from posting pictures of them in the background and commenting on their hair and skin and features. That is not a way that a non-Black person or a Black person should be calling out Black people. And I see this a lot with Banana. And I have an issue with the black people that give latitude to Banana to act this way, and they do exactly what you're doing right here.
Because
Running
that's not
to
what actually
running
happened either.
running to black people,
Somebody called Phoenix a gremlin on their panel
not
while they
somebody,
were away.
Banana.
Wait,
Banana said it out of their
no,
own
no, 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 no.
mouth.
Wait, hold on, Queen. Hold on.
No, hold on.
Solid. No, no, no. Banana said it. I said, huh. Then when someone said, oh no, Phoenix is black, they might be biracial or something, I was like, oh, okay, Banana, you're gonna have to sit in that. Banana literally said it. Don't do that. And if I got to get up and turn on my goddamn computer to see if I have that live, I will. Like, come on.
No,
And
I'll
that's
just
what I,
take
and
your
that's
word
what and
for it.
that's what
I'll
I
just
and
take
that's
your
what I
word for it. I was
Right.
but
told
that's but that but
something
why
different.
couldn't
I
but
was
why
told
couldn't you
something
take
different
my word for it when I told you that Queen V and Athena
because I
came
have
to
negative
Brax's?
experiences with you.
I
Okay,
think
but the negative
And you,
experiences
you
that you
had
have
negative
with me
experience,
is
and I
me
trust
trying
my
to hold you
friends
accountable.
more than I
Okay,
trust
Hold
and
on,
that's the
hold on.
fucking
The over talking.
problem.
You can't do the
And
over
that
talking,
is
yo.
the problem.
can
The
I
you.
can
problem
I
It's not.
say
and
It's not
this
a
something?
but
problem if
this
you and I
Hold on,
circles
just
hold
don't
on, hold on. We
gel.
gotta
It's
let
just
we
don't
gotta
gel.
let
I can't
everybody
be
who's talking
around you.
finish.
I have negative
We gotta.
experiences with you. You got negative experiences with me. We could dead that whole thing. Like it's
okay.
not a problem. Like, and
Okay,
that's
but
what I'm
based off of the
saying.
negative experiences that you have, there were multiple people that was calling Banana out for that particular incident. As just stated in this conversation, that Bratz held alive to call Banana to the forefront for those comments, and the only people who showed up were Black women. And I named Athena and I named Queen V, and I do not feel as though they needed to take accountability for what Banana said. Those things that happen, for you to say, I believe my friend, that is what's harmful to the community. And that circles all the way back around to the conversation we had with Cindy Lou Who, when you took what they were doing with more stride and took what me and Wawa were trying to address you about with a grain of salt, because you already had a preconceived issue with us. Even if you had a preconceived issue with me, did you do any of your own research to find out if what we were saying was true?
You mean in regard to my own situation? I mean, because I
No,
live my own
in
situation.
regard to the
Talking about
banana
what banana
situation,
drop.
you said I believed my
No,
friend because I had a negative experience with you. So you
no,
did not do
no.
your own. Okay.
Why?
So when it comes to people talking about an entire community being disparaged, do you think that going forward, it would be good practice to gather your own evidence, regardless if it's coming from a trusted friend or not? Because if that trusted friend is not Black and being accused of disparaging the Black community, do
It
you
was
think that it
echoed by. Okay, I got
do
you.
you think that it would be in good practice to try to gather your own information, because you would be the closest person to hold Banana accountable if you two are have
Oh,
a trusted mutual self.
that is true. I'm sorry. Banana does go by they them. I'm sorry. They
Oh,
do go by they
I
them.
thought I said they. I'm sorry if I didn't. If I said she, I do apologize. I do know Banana's pronouns, so I apologize for that. So do you think that even if you had a negative experience with me, I was not the only one calling Banana to the forefront for anti-Blackness, and it could not have been the first and only time that you have heard about Banana being anti-Black?
Who else was? You said Athena and
No, what? No, no, I
I
didn't.
think
Okay.
I I
No,
think
goddamn, I did not.
Okay.
I think that someone did say Athena, but let's don't worry about that at the moment. The
Yes, I said Athena, but I
I
did not
think
say that Athena accused Banana of being anti-Black. What I said was um, that I did not feel like it was right for Athena and Queen Bee and other Black women, such as Mimi, to have to be in the forefront for those infractions, because Alive was held and Athena and Queen Bee came into the box to answer for her. And Mimi also was put in a position, I'm sorry for them, I do apologize, to answer for them as well. And that, and if you see me yelling at Banana, yeah, I have had conversations with Banana about their anti-Blackness, and I have asked Banana, did they recognize that their reaction was the same reaction that we get from other people who are anti-Black, more particularly white people who feel as though like you're harming me, and you're giving me that as the example by saying that I harmed them. Why? Because their feelings were hurt for being called out. What would you say if Banana?
no. They did say. Hold on, real quick, Queen. He did say that the because if you call banana white, that's anti-indigenous. And
I
that's
did, but I
like that.
didn't. I did not call them white. I asked Banana if I asked them in a conversation on another panel, I asked them if they were not indigenous and this conversation was being had with a white person, did they feel as though their reaction was parallel or similar? Because what Solid is saying right now, that they feel harmed and they don't feel safe coming back to the app, that's exactly what white people do. Oh, you guys are attacking me, you guys are bullying me, when we're trying to hold you accountable for some anti-black or racist shit that you did. They don't get to do
I
that.
think, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I think because a lot of this is getting confused because it did sound earlier like you did say, yeah, you did call her white, and that's because you did call them white, and that's because they identified as white when you first met them.
Said was I have. Yes, I have, because Banana and I had not seen each other since I held my own platform. And there was a moment where people were holding me accountable for calling them white because of the fact that the last time that I spoke to them,
Okay.
they had not started on their indigenous journey. Yes, I have called them white before.
Okay, I think what is happening is a bit of a miscommunication because I think Solid's trying to just answer your question and say that a lot of what you're asking is why would he call what you're talking about drama and what you're doing drama? And he said because of the past experiences, and I think those past experiences are just things that are like misunderstandings. But I will say, if we're going to keep bringing up the white lady, I can't remember her name, but if we're going to keep
Cindy
bringing up the
Lou
white
Who.
lady, Cindy
Christy
Lou
Lou
Who,
Who.
we
Christy, sorry.
gotta that conversation needs to be had because that was kind of like stopped. But I do want to, because Mimi's been waiting a long time, and I do want to answer what Mimi had asked.
It's not at this point. At this point, I'm not gonna hold you, sis. It's not a question anymore. I'm gonna say this because I know that I'm pretty sure there are people in the request, and this has got to get hashed out, I guess. I'm gonna say this. I can appreciate that you understand why I said what I said to you in that live, and when I asked you earlier, that you understand that using the victims, asking if anyone knows about the victims' names or anything to be combative is wrong. It's wrong to say that we are not there for liberation and all that other kind of all that crap that you said up there was foul. Now that I know that you came up there feeling a way because you know that folks feel a way about Banana, you could have just came up in the live and said, keep Banana name out your fucking mouth. You didn't have to come in there talk about victims and all of this other kind of thing because Observant said, fuck you. Like, I don't see why that was necessary to do. Also, before I go, look here, bruh. Infantilizing us like we don't have the capacity to have a conversation on the live with people that are directly affected by Jones, because it was just me, it was Coco, it was Peach, it was Phoenix, it was all of us up there having a conversation about what happened with us, the lies that were told, and this, that, and the third. Like we're not in a good, safe space when we were up there doing just fine. Even everybody took turns to cuss the Black historian dumbass out. We were doing just fine. To say that we were not in a safe space, or maybe you're not talking about me. Maybe you're not talking about Phoenix, you were only talking about Peach. Okay, great. There's only some black people.
No. I'm saying
no,
the
I can
only
appreciate
people who
that.
I felt weren't safe were Queen and Wawa.
No,
Answer the question as to why.
in the space, not not people that you don't think are safe. I'm saying, and if you thought that we weren't safe in that space, I think it's really infantilizing and it's not cool, because we all grown up in there. We were having a very good conversation. People were sharing information, learning more about what had happened and why things were transpiring. We were up there doing, like I said earlier, exactly what we should have did a fucking year ago. Honestly. And I don't know what this is all about, why we have to get pushed to the side, or oh, y'all shouldn't even be here. This is drama. It's not drama. It's what black women needed to fucking do. What black men needed to do.
I wasn't talking about you.
You called the space drama. You said that we were in the midst of drama, that people are recording.
All right, well,
We
can I
all
correct
are
myself?
very aware, Solid. We are all very aware that people record on YouTube, bro. We know that. It doesn't matter. The conversation still needs to be had. And I don't need to have it in private. I need to have it in public. Things were said to people or each other. It needs to be done in public. When people did wrong, they got to say it out loud. Black women have a habit of doing these things. When we see shit, we see fucked up shit. When we self-reflect, oh, okay, all right, you know what, fuck it. Let's have a conversation. Why is that so wrong? All I'm saying is, okay, I get you want to be protective and all. It would have been much nicer if you would have asked us if we felt unsafe. I guarantee you no one would have said, no, we're fine. But if you only came up there because people have a problem with Banana, you should have just came and said, fuck y'all for talking about Banana. Keep Banana name out your motherfucker. You could have just did that. You didn't have to start talking about the victims. I mean, that's not right. It's just not right. You could have just came in on what you wanted to really talk about. If you got a problem with Kween and Wawa and them, you could have came up there and had a problem with Kween and Wawa and them. You didn't need to do that.
Rounds though. I'm still waiting for that answer.
I'm not understanding the weird, confused face because you came up
Because that's why I came up there, because I had a problem with Kween and Wawa.
and you talked about victims first. There was no need for that. That wasn't the main purpose. Clearly, there's beef, bro.
Wait, hold up.
Clearly now you're
Wait.
mad because Banana's involved.
He
Like,
didn't
what are we doing? You know what?
I will.
I can't be gaslit. You got it. You know you got it, bro. You know you right. Fuck it. You right. You got it.
No. I'm just saying to you, real quick. He did come up. The first thing he said, because I don't want anybody to feel invalidated up here. Because Kween even said this earlier. The first thing he said was, "I don't trust Kween and Wawa." That was the first thing he said when he went up there.
Right. I
And
don't
that's-
trust
that's
Kween and Wawa.
part
Okay.
of-
Right. You know what?
And
Fine,
yeah,
my
and that was part of
timeline
what Kween
wrong.
was addressing up here.
I can appreciate that. That's my bad. I don't trust Kween and Wawa. Keep victims' name out your mouth. Name three victims. Name three victims. Name three victims. Unnecessary. If you have beef with Kween and Wawa, Observant and all them, and you want to talk about the fact that you don't like how they talk about Banana, you could have just did all that. You didn't have to do everything else. But all right, I got it. I think you got it. You heard me. You heard me? I heard you. Did you hear me? Because I heard you. Or unless is there anything else that you want to say to me? I'm talking to Solid now. Sean and Kween are on mute.
No.
Question on what grounds?
All right, then.
What
Thank
do
you, Sean.
Listen, Mimi,
What,
out of everybody that was talking, did you notice the one person I was listening?
You said you said that I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about.
What?
I don't think he was talking to you.
Wait a minute. When I said
Now, sis
when
say,
I said don't
sis
do
say
that.
I'm supposed
When
to
I
just
said
say,
don't
you know
do
what?
that,
If there's a
did
world where I
you
can
not
say that, then
say
I
so?
just
And then everybody
hold on.
listening.
Listen. I think he wasn't talking to you when he said that, but you felt like he was talking.
He said he's not listening. I've
Who-
repeated myself several times. Run the live back. They'll just because I literally like.
She did. You
Bro,
weren't
come
able
on.
to hear because there was arguing back and forth, but there was a period of
All right,
time where
listen.
she stopped and everyone was quiet and she says, Solid, you gotta stop with that. You don't know
Listen.
what other victims are up here. And then you kept going with your rhetoric on me and Wawa, and it was me who said
Oh,
he
wait.
ain't listening.
I do think I saw this part of because I didn't see a lot of it. I will say to you, Mimi, you did say that was wrong, and you told everybody to stop, and everybody stopped. I do believe, though, Solid did say because he doesn't know. and he was talking about observant. I do believe that. I don't think he was talking to you.
Sean, I heard you.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna apologize. I said what you think I said, Mimi.
Well, I was there. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, and I shouldn't have said what I said. So I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. I'm not sure if that's just to shut me up. That that's not how that worked with me. I don't shut up.
No, but
But
it's like no, but what you experienced was me saying that.
well,
That
yeah.
is enough to warrant an apology.
Okay.
So I apologize.
I'm not.
Provide me the answer to my question, please.
Oh well,
Yeah, yeah,
damn.
like
All right. Well, all right then.
everything we've been through, every time we've interacted, Queen, it's been some sort of like
All
struggle.
right.
By Mimi, there's been some sort of struggle to try and find the truth between each other. I've never felt like you've
Denying me.
never felt like you've represented my situations accurate to my experience. You
Grounds
are
for
a
you to
big
say
red
that
flag for me.
people are drama. That's grounds for you to say that there's drama and that
You
you
don't feel
feel as
like
though your
wait,
mutual
hold on.
shouldn't have been having conversations with us.
Queen, you don't spend no time on messy talk.
So what?
So
That matters in what
that
regard?
matters in a great regard, because how do I know which is which? Do I know if my friends are in the middle of messy talk and don't know it? Have I been in messy talk without wanting to be there?
So we're on an app where people spectate. We're on an app where everyone has been involved in what could be considered to be drama by some spectator or people who don't understand the context of what they're seeing or hearing. There are people in the comments right now calling this drama. Are we going to take them seriously? Do you feel like
Yes.
you're doing drama right
Yes.
now?
This shit feels messy as fuck. And I
Oh,
do
it's
want to
messy to
do it.
have a conversation now to hash things out.
Yeah, because if I want to be honest and I want to say what my truth is, but I am battling, I am walking a tightrope because I also have to stick to my principles, and my principles, there's a conflict there for me because invalidating Black women is against my principles. But I also have experienced something vastly different than what you describe.
Okay. Right.
Right.
So
My
discussions that
principles
you
are protect Black women, but everything that's going on here is counter to that, right?
okay.
Instead of
So
when
our conversations are drama to
the
the
simple
point where
solution could have been for me, one, to not even engage, to not have ever jumped up on the panel, right? To have left the whole thing alone, to not even have been a spectator. The simple solution now would be to disengage.
right, but you are aware that causing harm to somebody and choosing to disengage is not protecting your peace, it's avoidance.
Protecting my peace, I think I'll decide what protecting my peace means.
Yeah, most people who don't want to be held accountable will
Let
typically
me tell you what
choose the protect. Oh,
avoidance
I'm
is.
so sorry. I
I'm sorry.
thought,
Go ahead.
yeah. So and having a conversation with someone or doing something to someone and then deciding that you're going to protect your peace when they try to approach you is not protecting your peace, it's avoidance. So you have avoided the conversations. And I even admitted in the beginning of this live that we have not been able to have a conversation as the one that we've had today. Yes, there has always been a back and forth anytime we've encountered each other, but I'm still searching for the answer to my question. What does that have to do with the live that took place today? Because my direct issue with you doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. And my direct issue with you does not mean that I don't have anything to stand for.
Okay. If you're just stating your case, if you're just stating your case for what I'm not here to battle with you about that. I'm just simply telling you where my reaction came from.
I think we all. I think we've gathered that already. We gathered that your reaction came from
Okay.
your experience
So
with
then,
me. But what
so
does
then
your
your case is
experience with
valid.
me have
Your
to do with
experience is valid.
what
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
what does your direct experience with me have to do with the overall, with my overall person, with my overall ideals, with my overall stances? What does our direct issue have to do even with your overall stances? Have I ever gone into one of your lives and told people not to allow you to hold these topics and hold these debates because I don't like you?
Well, it's not about not liking. It's about what I think is going
I
on. Like,
really, I don't want to do the semantics and the picking apart of language. I think you understand exactly what I mean when I say that.
sure,
An
no, you've
issue,
never done that.
beef, problem. I don't,
You
all
do
the
that too.
synonyms.
And I don't feel safe with my friends around you. Like that.
And again,
What's something wrong with that?
and I heard that, but I think that you're purposefully misunderstanding my question because I am literally asking you in all the ways that I possibly can rephrase it. What does our personal issue have to do with you feeling as though I cannot have a conversation with someone else?
Exactly. So my fear is that what has happened to me might be transferred on to one of my friends.
Okay,
With the
so you
same
not
terrible experiences
recollecting.
I've had with you, my friends might also have terrible experiences with you.
Okay, so if we were having a conversation in the live today about who did what and who's a problem and who isn't, then I can understand if you say, you know what, I feel like, Queen and I have had some issues and I don't feel as though I have been represented correctly. So I'm afraid that they're going to misrepresent my friends. But we were not having a call out live. We were not having a messy live. So how does that correlate to your direct feelings when you claim that I'm doing revisionist history? But it also sucks because as a person who was on the other end of your issues and the way that you've spoken to me, revisionist history is usually what the perpetrator does. So it's hard for me to listen to you say, well, I've had a bad experience. A bad experience, why? Because I've called you names and yelled at you because of the way that you treated me?
No, because you lied about me.
I didn't lie though. We had the conversation. And just because I provide
I
more
think,
details than you do doesn't mean that I'm lying. So let's go through the
well,
bullet points.
some
Jesus,
of the
go ahead.
details were, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I appreciate your interjection. I just wish that I could have finished before you moderate. But go ahead if
You're
you
right.
had something to say.
That's what I said. That's why I said you go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't. I realized I interrupted you and it was too late. The ADHD kicked in. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Okay, when I say adding in details, I'm not talking about false details. When someone recounts something, it's usually the person who has the experience in the negative remembers more. You might not remember what I was wearing that day, but I do. Might not remember a sentence that I said verbatim, but I do. So just because my story has more details than yours, the bullet points of the story is that there was a discrepancy between the use of the word coon on Wawa's panel. Yes or no?
To begin with, yes.
I blocked you from that live because there was arguing back and forth.
Yeah.
You started your own live to address how you felt about how Wawa's live went,
Not specifically to talk about the use of the coon. Coon. I don't feel like calling coons is anti-black.
which is the topic of Wawa's live.
Right.
Well, at the topic when you got there, correct?
Right.
Okay. So the part that we have different is that you don't believe that Christy Lou, who was co-signing the usage of the word.
Yeah, I think Christy Lou, who came up to console me, and then your recounting is that she was condoning use of the word coon.
Correct. So we might not agree on
Specifically,
that,
she
but
was condoning me calling y'all a coon or somebody
and that's
calling
what I
y'all a
said.
coon.
And that's exactly what I
Yeah,
said. Co-signing you saying it. And
but
by
did I ever
saying,
call y'all coons?
um, listen to what I am saying. I never said that you called me and Wawa coons. I
Did
said
I
that
ever
when
even
she was
imply that
talking
y'all were
about,
coons?
when I say us, I'm talking about Black people. So maybe I should be clear about that. When I say this, Christy Lou, who was condoning us being called coon, I'm talking about Black people as a whole. So you just agreed that Christy Lou Who was co-signing you able to use the word?
No.
By God, ain't that what you just fucking said?
No. I was saying that she was
Stenographer,
consoling me
stenographer Sean, can you
after
please
we
tell me what was
cried.
just said?
I you just okay. So because I do think that y'all have these details, and this is what Solid is referring to. These details remembered different because you said, and I will say what was just said, but I just want to make sure I got this straight. You said that Cindy went up on Solid's panel, and for whatever reason she went up on his panel, she started to say that if Solid wants to say it, he can say it, and condoning the use of the word coons against other black people.
Correct. And
Okay,
did Solid
so I
not
think
just agree that that's what she was doing?
I don't think he
No.
agreed that that's what she was
So
doing.
can you rephrase what you said
I
when
think
you said that that Christy
Christy,
was condoning your use of the word?
no. Christy was comforting me
I think he said
at
consoling.
the tail end. Console. At the tail end of the live, after we had done that whole thing, me, you, and King. After Keith had dropped and all of that, right?
Okay, and
And you're
October.
saying that toward the beginning of the live, she had condoned not just the use of the word coon, but and you just clarified not calling y'all directly coons, but calling black folks coons.
Okay, so we're at an impasse at whether or not Christy Lou Who was co-signing your ability to call black people coons if that's how you felt.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you recall that me and Wawa enter your live, and on what grounds did we enter your live to have a conversation with you?
To address what happened in the previous live.
Okay. So sure, we'll be at an impasse on whether or not Christy made those comments.
Right.
So then
I mean,
after
I
you
mean,
at
I
you
don't
at
even kick it with Christy no more.
yeah, I
Also,
know she told us, and she
you're
also
not
apologized,
friends.
but that wasn't the question. I'm not asking you, are you friends with her today? So
And
during that live, you agreed that you made a quip at me starting drama on Dontrell's live.
yeah, disrupting the live. Yeah.
Okay. So you made a quip towards me disrupting Dontrell's live when the live in question was me calling out Trina for being a transphobe during a trans topic.
Right. Which I was completely wrong about.
Okay. So me turning up on you in this live, your original live, was because I was rebutting the fact that it was not drama and that it was absolutely necessary for me to call out Trina.
Right.
And at the time, you did not agree, and you were standing on the fact that it was drama and that I was causing problems.
No, I apologized. It was a sincere apology, but I just wanted to vent to Dantrell that something felt off. That your language felt off.
Okay. So the language that I was using towards you was because I was turning up on you because originally you were saying that it was drama and you were standing 10 toes down on the fact that it was drama. Not today, then.
No,
It's
no,
because of the
that's
style of the language. It was very familiar. The style of the language was very absolute, right? It was like very vilifying, right? And I thought it was odd because we did not know each other like that. And you
We
agreed that
absolutely
we
did.
didn't
We
know
spent
each other.
lots of time on Irish Feminist panel. We
Well,
were mutuals before that.
you just said we've never had a chance to talk about this.
We've never had a chance
You
to
just
talk
said we
about
weren't
this,
really
but
acquainted like that.
prior to that live, Solid, you were a
We
regular
did not
panelist
know
on
each other.
Irish
I
Feminist
knew
Live.
Wawa,
Okay. All right. That's fine.
and I knew Wawa from Irish,
Yes.
but
And
that's
yes.
what made me think it was random. It was weird because it was like
Okay.
she kept saying, I always do this and I always, but I don't really know Queen like that. Queen can't possibly know that I'm always do or I always, right?
Okay.
And that's what I
Yeah,
went to
but I
Dan.
did. Okay. So you went to Dontrell, you had a private conversation with your friend. He felt like he wanted to take up for you, so he commented out loud in the live and addressed me directly.
He started the live specifically. I think it was the next day or the day after.
Okay, so he addressed me
He started the
directly.
live specifically because
Okay, and you did say that you did not intend for that to happen, but Dontrell was heated and he wanted to address me directly, and I came into the box.
I told him do not do that,
Yeah, we got that part, but he did.
but he did.
Right. And I
And then
come into the
when I came
the
in there, I
live.
kept cutting him off. Right, I kept cutting him
I'm
off
not really
because
concerned
he
about
kept
what
saying
you
shit
did. The
that was
live
inaccurate.
happened. Right, but the live
Right.
did happen because Dontrell wanted to
Right.
defend you.
But I kept correcting his
But I'm not
inaccuracy.
accusing you of starting the live. I'm asking you, did the live take place?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get into the live and Dontrell is addressing me about a conversation that you had with him in private.
Right.
So you finally come up into the live and you agree and admit to what you told him in private and you address me directly about how you felt.
Yeah.
Okay. So you told me that you felt that apology was forced out of you.
No.
So what if it was okay, because that's what I remember that you said, that you felt as though you
I
were
just felt it
obligated
was
to
really
apologize in
weird.
order to stop the
I felt like the
conversation.
language that you were using when you would reference me was weird. This is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you addressed the conversation that we had and you said that it made you feel uncomfortable in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Okay. So after we have this conversation, I'm turned up, I'm upset because I don't feel as though